Hi, and welcome to this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. I'm Eric, Executive Director of WCTV, and I appreciate you taking some of your time to sit in and listen to the conversations that I'm going to have. I'm expecting to have a couple of very good conversations this week. Later on in this show, we'll speak with Dan Groth from Good News Habitat for Humanity, find out what's been going on with them. But we open the conversation this week with a new guest, a guest we have not been able to have on In Focus previously. It's with the Indiana Youth Institute. Dr. Tami Silverman is my guest. I've had a chance to speak with Tami over the last year in another incarnation of my life that I can't go into, but we have had numerous conversations, and it is good to have you on In Focus. Thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. And I must admit that I look forward to our discussions because of the depth that you go into and the great questions that you ask.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about both you and Indiana Youth Institute. Let's start with Indiana Youth Institute. Talk a little bit about that organization, how they were formed, and what they do.
Right. Well, thank you for asking. Indiana Youth Institute is kind of a unique entity, which I have the pleasure of serving at, that was created over 30 years ago. It was actually created by Lilly Endowment to help serve other youth serving organizations. What they found out at that time was that there were many organizations that could use help with professional development or training or organizational capacity or data services or convening folks together to have conversations about what exactly was going on in their communities. That wasn't something that they don't provide direct services. So they decided that they would start and found, and they still are a great partner of ours, Indiana Youth Institute, to fill those needs.
What brought you to this organization? How long have you been there? And have you always been involved with youth and youth serving organizations?
I've been here, I'm coming up on 8 years, so I can no longer say I'm new. It takes, I think for a little while, there's a lot to learn. And there's a lot of great work going on across our state in youth serving organizations. So, getting to know that. So I've been here for a little while. Have I always been involved with youth service is a great question. I was raised by 2 educators. In fact, I often say that education is our family business. And in my family, we have 16 Indiana-based teachers, counselors, and principals.
Wow.
And so I haven't always worked in the field of youth services, but I have worked kind of adjacent to education and have been able to dedicate my career to helping children and families succeed.
When you look at IYI, what are the primary goals? Is it data collection? Because I know that is a big part of what you and I end up talking about.
It is. I think that's a great question. I would say we kind of have a few, I'll say 3 big goals, one of which is to serve those individual youth workers. So if you are a professional and you are serving kids, we exist to help you. And we have a couple of great new initiatives that came out just within the past few months to help do that. We also exist, as I said, to serve youth serving organizations and to help them build their capacities and perhaps to operate with greater efficiency or to increase their scale or whatever those goals might be so that they can fulfill their missions. And the last one is to bring together communities to talk about what's going on with their kids and to think about what actions they might take. Data weaves through all 3 of those, right? Data is an important component of each of those.
I know for a lot of organizations, grant writing, that data is important, and a lot of the organizations really don't have the capacity or the people who can get the data that they need.
You are 100% spot on, and I was that person. So before I came to IYI a few years back, I ran a local organization. I ran a family violence prevention center. And there were times when funders would ask for, all of this research and data. And I would candidly say, I don't have a research team. How am I supposed to do that? It was in another state. And unfortunately, that state doesn't have an Indiana Youth Institute. And so when I found out about IYI, I was like, oh my goodness, I would have just been elated if we had these services. So you're absolutely right. That is a big part of what we hope we can help folks do is validate, substantiate, and advance the great work that they're already doing.
One of the things that you do is on a monthly basis, you put out information about a particular event, a happening, some type of knowledge, and you drop some on me because I didn't realize that January is mentoring month. Had never really crossed my mind, but it is. Talk about why that's important and why IYI is involved and how IYI is involved in mentoring.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. You're not the only one. So this is why these conversations are so important. You're not the only one that wasn't aware that January is National Mentoring Month. It's been around for a while. I think, a good number of years, and there's still a need to talk about it. There's still a need to raise awareness. IYI is involved because we serve as the Mentor Indiana affiliate. So there's a national network of organizations that provide mentoring to kids, and each state has kind of it's not an association. It doesn't cost anything to belong, but it's that kind of a model, right? How do we bring people together? How do we bring those organizations together? How do we help them, again, reach more kids and serve more families and do it in a way that really is of the greatest benefit to those kids? We are that Mentor Indiana affiliate, so it is our great joy, honestly, to promote this in hopes that several of these programs will recruit more mentors to help with the mentees. Many of them have waiting lists for the mentees already.
When you talk about mentoring, let's start with what a mentor is, what they do, and how they impact youth in particular.
Right. And so, some of the things that I often hear is like, gosh, I'm not sure if I understand all the things about kids. I'm not sure I could help them with homework. There's a big difference between a mentor and a tutor, right? So mentors can be that role model. They're the ones that can help youth express emotions, have conversations. Sometimes a child will say something to a mentor or someone outside of their family that they might not yet be comfortable saying or know how to say. It's one of those people that walks alongside, helps with some of that praise, encouragement, self-esteem, any of those things that a caring adult does. A mentor does that. And I will say they do that with additional support from the mentoring organization for the onboarding, the matching, and again, that constant kind of back of the room if you need help in these conversations. Sometimes working with kids, depending on what age and stage they're in, isn't just intuitive. You need some help and you need some expert guidance, and that's what those programs do.
When people think about mentoring, sometimes they shy away from it because it obviously takes time, and they may not be sure that they have the amount of time necessary to give. Is mentoring about an amount of time, or is it about quality of time? What makes a good mentor?
Yeah, what a great question. What a great question. So I think you're absolutely correct. I think there's this perception that it takes, and sometimes we do hear those stories of I spend every whatever with my mentee. And that's really at the choice of the mentor. That being said, it's not so much, we don't have any information or data that says there's a set number of, here's the magic number. If you spend X amount of time per week or month or whatever that might be, that's important. What we do know is the consistency of engagement is very important so that young person comes to rely on that mentor, knows that they can count on them, knows that if they shoot them a text or give them a call, that someone will be there to have that conversation and talk them through whatever's going on. Maybe that here and there, having those in person, let's go do an activity, but it's really more about the relationship than a string of activities.
You talk about data, the numbers. I was surprised when I read your column about how consistently we all seem to like, care, and believe in mentoring. You put nearly 9 in 10 people feel that more mentoring is needed in our country. More than 8 in 10 support the use of government funds to grow mentoring opportunities, which is interesting because it's hard to get that many people to believe that government funds should be spent on any one thing.
100%. I was going to say, isn't that a fun stat? Because it is something that is very unifying right now. And youth mentoring is something that does have widespread support, it also has really concrete benefits. And I think sometimes that's where it's hard to say, if we invest these resources, what happens, right? How do we know? How do we know? And those are fair questions. So in seeing that, I think that part of it is that the mentoring field has done a lot of great work to really make sure that we know what does it benefit our kids and really quantify that, so that again, I adore having a service that we can promote that clearly has widespread. This isn't one issue or the other. It's not one side or the other. You know, as we often say, there aren't red or blue kids. They're kids. And in this case, they're kids that can benefit from mentoring.
Talk about some of the benefits of mentoring. We talked about the fact that you all do a lot of data collection. You all have studied this. So talk about what you have found to be the benefits of mentoring, and particularly in terms of the mental health of our kids, who we know and we have heard for years that has been slipping. Since the pandemic, it's gotten even worse.
Well, first of all, thank you for normalizing that. In fact, you know, some of the mental health concerns that we need to be paying attention to did not start with the pandemic. You're absolutely right. They were there. They've been present. We've learned more about them, so we've become more aware. Some have accelerated a little bit, but again, mentoring, we know that 92 youth with a mentor are 92%, almost 92%. Again, where do you get those kind of stats? More likely to volunteer regularly. So somebody volunteers with them, they pay it forward. They're 75% more likely to hold a leadership position in some activity at their school. And we know that with that comes self-esteem, it comes communication skills, it comes problem-solving skills, all of those great things from being actively involved in your school. They're also 22% more likely to have experienced that strong sense of belonging. And that's just, you know, and I think that want to feel like you are part of a community, and that not only you're part of it, but you belong there, is a tremendous positive indicator, and can really help with some of those, both the normal trials and tribulations that happen as you grow up and that you could use help with guidance on, but also some of those clinical issues that go a little deeper. You know, mentors aren't charged with being therapists. They're not charged with being counselors, but they sure can help.
If someone wants to read a little bit more about this or some of the other work that you all are doing, how do they connect with you?
It is all available at iyy.org. We just refreshed our website, and our marketing team did an incredible job. So I want to say it's all available at your fingertips. If it's not, give us a call and we'll make sure you get it. But almost all of it is available. I think everything we've talked about, I know everything we've talked about today is available on our website, which is iyy.org.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11, or maybe it's a Sunday morning and you're listening to the audio on ESPN Radio, 1490 AM, 100.9 FM, or their sister station G1013. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Maybe you're watching it on our YouTube channel. However you're viewing or listening to this, we appreciate you taking the time to tune in to In Focus. We're talking with Tami Silverman from the Indiana Youth Institute. Thanks for the time, Tami. Really do appreciate it. A couple other things I want to try to touch on while we have a little bit of time. You and I have had a chance to talk in the past about a couple of things. One of them, this time of year, we hear a lot about asking youth, particularly those juniors and seniors, to make sure they get the FAFSA filled out. There were some changes in that by state law. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that is incredibly important for those folks who particularly will need some financial assistance getting through higher education and maybe even just trade training.
Absolutely. So it is new that all high school seniors are required to fill out the FAFSA form. And the intent of that is really that we know that there were a good number of dollars, not only in Pell Grants, but in other scholarships that were going unclaimed by our students. And so we want to make sure, you know, and I think the folks that crafted this legislation wanted to ensure that our students were having as much access and could really secure as much of that financial aid as possible and as was available. They did work to streamline the form this year. It's been notoriously difficult, and I think, you know, sometimes when you bring up even the word FAFSA, folks can get a little apprehensive. And they had that feedback that it was very complicated
I've put through to college, so yes, it is. Hives break out.
I was going to say, people usually have a very strong reaction to it. So there was and they have launched a better FAFSA is actually the term that's attached to it. There were some glitches in the rollout, and so we have, it got delayed even a little bit further. It's been in a soft launch the last 2 weeks. I know just as recent as yesterday, we were getting some feedback that it actually is a little easier. You have to be patient.
Great.
It's a little glitchy right now. The website itself, they have until the end of January, is my understanding, to work through those glitches, but you still can go on and start working on it, and that it will even save your information. So say you start working on it and you run into a hiccup or a bump, or you need to step away, the website should save your information, so you don't have to start over when you come back.
Talk a little bit about the importance of that, particularly for parents who have not had students go through that higher education piece. We still have a number of first-generation students throughout Indiana, so this is something that a lot of families have not had to do. Understanding that it's not just about money immediately for college, but it can even help when it comes to work study, which a lot of students need when they get to college.
Absolutely, absolutely. So actually, FAFSA is a document that is used for it's financial aid, federal financial aid for sure, but it's also that state-based aid. It's also institutional scholarships, the work study opportunities, and some of that financial planning that can really help families think about how are we going to ensure that our student has the resources that will help them get not only to college, but through college. We often say it's important, we have these bright, terrific, eager young minds, and we need to make sure they get to and through college. And that takes resources. So FAFSA is in many cases, the key or the gateway to doing that.
I mentioned trade schools, and obviously there's the conversation back and forth between 2-year, 4-year, or work-based learning. Is the FAFSA important for trade schools? Can it help with aid to those schools also?
100%, 100%. And I appreciate the fact that you brought that up, because sometimes people think 4-year institution. It can be trade school. It can also be a 2-year school. It can also be one of those things that you start and then perhaps later you decide, okay, I got this associate's degree or I got this certification. Now I want to build on that. So it is absolutely geared towards, we know that every Indiana student needs a pathway beyond high school. What that pathway is can differ significantly based on that child and where they're at and what their academic interest or career interests look like.
You're watching In Focus on WGTV Channel 11. We're spending some time with Tami Silverman, director of Indiana Youth Institute, IYI for short, out of Indianapolis. Definitely appreciate the time. We've got probably about 8 minutes left, according to the voice in my head. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on, and earlier this year, you all put out the 2023 Indiana Girl Report, kind of a first of its kind report. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely, I'd be delighted to. It was a really exciting project for us to work on. We worked on it in connection with the Girl Scouts, and when I say the Girl Scouts, across Indiana, there are 6 councils. And so all of them came together to work on this with the idea that in order for them to think about and really have a deep conversation about what do Hoosier girls need right now, they needed to understand not only the girls in each of their individual troops or in their council, but how girls statewide were doing. And so that's where we came in and were able to partner with them and talk about what do we know, what data is available, so that they can start that continuing to build and engage and look at ways that they can serve more girls.
Some of the report, when it comes to experiencing bullying, girls in Indiana are twice as likely as boys to become victims of bullying. You all found out from 2015 to 2021. So this is not old information. You all have tried to bring this up as close as you can. The rate of physical and sexual dating violence among girls in Indiana has increased. You found some startling information. Is there a way that that information can then be taken and used to help bring our girls out of some of these situations?
100%, Eric, 100%. You know, we often say our goal, we're not researchers primarily. We exist to serve and increase the well-being of kids, right? So the data we produce, we want to be put into action. We want this data to spark those conversations of knowing the fact that the rate of sexual violence and dating violence amongst girls in Indiana increased. That begs the question, and there's a responsibility to say, what do we do about that? How are we going to show up? Do we need more training for our troop leaders? Do we need training in schools? Do we need to bring more people in? Do we need to reach out to different community groups? Do we need to support the ones that are already there, but maybe don't have enough staff or volunteers or resources? All of the data should, and we hope, and we are part of accelerating it into action that can benefit our children.
Real quickly, I know you mentioned that IYI has been around for 30 years. You've only been with them for 8 years, but for 30 years, they've put out a kids count report. Talk a little bit about that report, because if folks have not had a chance to see it or hear about it, it's probably something that would help a number of people to understand some of the things that have gone on and even be able to view from the past to now some topics that they have an interest in.
Absolutely. So the Kids Count Data Book, again, we're part of a national network, which is the Kids Count Network, the NEKC Kids Count Network, where we bring together every year data on all kinds of child well-being indicators. Everything from the number of children living in poverty in our state, to access to available childcare, to food insecurity, to how are they doing on infant mortality, and we do that absolutely for all of those at the state level, but in many cases also at the county level. So you can take a look and say, okay, you know, chronic absenteeism is something we're talking about quite a lot right now.
Right.
This may be what we know is the state level. Let's see how, maybe I'm in Grant County or maybe I'm in Allen County. How is my county doing? And then if you wanted to, and you're in one of those programs, you can even say, how are our kids doing? And so you have that point of reference. You also can use the data for a very compelling case to help get some of those much needed, to keep or expand those much needed funds to do the good work that your organization is doing.
Tami, we've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to kind of give you the floor for a minute to see if there's something about IYI, data collection, the youth in the state, or particularly in East Central Indiana, because I know that you all have helped support a couple of programs here during this last fall, that something that you want to bring out or make sure that you get mentioned.
Yes, I would say when I talk about those individual youth workers, we just launched a project called the Indiana Youth Worker Wellbeing Initiative. That's a mouthful. That really says, are we taking care of the people that care for our children? And one of the things that we launched just this month, actually just at the start of this month, was unlimited mental health and telehealth for youth workers. So if you work, or a friend or family member works for a youth serving organization, hop on our website, take a look. We want to make sure that you have access to services that can keep you healthy, because we know when you're healthy, then that ripples forward, right? And so sometimes we need to care for those caregivers, and that's part of something that we hold near and dear to our mission as well.
Tami Silverman, President, CEO of Indiana Youth Institute, IYI. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us. I know that you're incredibly busy, and booking this has been something we've talked about for a number of months. I'm glad we were able to get you in, and hopefully we can have you come back once or twice during this next year to talk about some of the other work that you all are doing.
Thank you so much, Eric. It was my pleasure.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more In Focus in just a moment.
WCTV supports local entertainment. WCTV supports local information. WCTV supports our local students. WCTV needs your support to continue supporting our community, and it's easy to do. Become a member as an individual or family. Nonprofit and business memberships are also available with benefits including video production and program sponsorship. Membership donations are critical, and when deciding where your support dollars go, support an organization that serves the community you live in. Visit WCTV.info or call 765-973-8488.
Richmond Sanitary District curbside service in your neighborhood. Know the dings. Bag trash goes into your green rosy roller. Regular route drivers do not get out of their trucks to pick up bags and items left beside your green rosy roller. If you have larger items that do not fit in your green rosy roller, please call to schedule a special pickup, 765-983-7450. Clean, loose, unbagged recyclables go in your blue Ritchie roller. Plastic bottles and jugs, aluminum and steel cans, glass bottles and jars with lids removed. Newspaper, chipboard like cereal boxes and magazines should be placed on top of the blue Ritchie roller tied. Corrugated cardboard has the wavy layers. It must be clean, no pizza grease, folded and broken down to slide easily out of the container when picked up to be emptied by the truck. Questions on the curbside containers? Please call Debbie Tevis at 765-983-7456. Richmond Sanitary District. Our goal is to grow.
No person should ever experience illegal discrimination, but if it does happen, you can report it to the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. At ICRC, we enforce civil rights laws and investigate complaints of unlawful discrimination to ensure all Hoosiers and visitors to Indiana have access to equal opportunities. If you feel you've been a victim of unlawful discrimination, please call us or visit our website to file a complaint.
We've got all sorts of plants, produce, meat, eggs, honey, maple syrup, baked goods, arts and crafts, some awesome different prepared foods, kettle corn, you name it, down here for everyone in the community to come and buy. The cool thing about what we do is that we're 100% growers only and local produced only. So everything that you buy here was actually made here. That's really great because you can know that your money's supporting a local farmer and staying in the local economy, and it's traveling less fuel miles, and so we've got a lot of really great benefits there.
Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan, program host for Let's Talk Together. Join us in our next episode where we discuss New Year's resolutions with Susan Reen from Reed Health.
I incorporate exercise into my day. Research has found about 150 minutes worth of exercise every day releases the same amount of serotonin as a Prozac pill.
Join us Thursday, 8 o'clock, Channel 20, WETV.
And welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. You can also find us on our YouTube page as well as on our video on demand site and our Facebook page, our new Facebook page. If you had liked the Whitewater Community Television Facebook page previously, we're asking that you go to our new page. During the holiday season, something happened. We still have not been able to figure out exactly what. Our Facebook page, which we have had for almost 14 years, disappeared along with all of our information. So if you can, go to our Facebook page, like that please, and you will be able to keep up with all the information that we're putting out, including any cold weather information and things of that nature that we are experiencing at this time. Change guests in studio. We're talking with Tami Silverman from IYI. Now I have a chance to speak with Dan Groth from Good News Habitat for Humanity, according to what the shirt says. How you doing?
Great, and you?
I'm fine. I have
Super.
not had you in this studio in, it's been a while.
It could be as much as 15 years.
Not quite that long.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you were probably doing something else when you were here previously, you've had a history in and around particularly not-for-profit organizations for
Correct.
as long as I've known you. For those who may not know you, like I know you, which is a scary thing, I'm sure.
It is.
Give us a little bit of background on you.
Well, my background is primarily in nonprofits. When I attended college, my degree was to go work for nonprofits. So I spent 27 years with the Boy Scouts of America in several states, landed here 25 years ago, and we decided we didn't want to ever move again. And I spent 8 years with the American Red Cross here in Wayne and Union County until they reorganized everything and we kind of disappeared. And then 2.5 years ago, I got involved with the local Habitat for Humanity, which is referred to as Good News Habitat, and we cover 4 counties. So the things that I like to do personally are build and create with wood and everything. So it's a really good mix using my nonprofit experience and my building experience to work for Habitat.
Talk for a minute about why you decided very early on that nonprofit work was what you wanted to do.
Because when I was a kid, I was in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and at 15 went and worked on camp staff for 7 years, and that really is what started it. That's also why I went into the professional ranks of the Boy Scouts of America, and you know, I spent time all over New England, 4 years in Colorado. So, you know, it's and the Midwest here in Indianapolis. I was in that council 2 or 3 times. But you know, you learn different things. You find out that yeah, we're all, let's say, Americans, but there's just little quirks that are a little different from the East Coast to here in the Midwest and that kind of thing. Okay. And even though everybody runs a Boy Scout camp, they're all different. And so you pick up a lot of good habits and you know, how nonprofits work, and you know, and I'll tell you right now, not all nonprofits are the same or work the same way.
Right.
So like when we recruit board members, if they have nonprofit background, we got to explain to them that you know, we may not necessarily be exactly like the one you just came from. So
talk about the organization a little bit. You mentioned that it is multi-county, but that wasn't necessarily always the case. And even since I've been here, the name has changed a little bit. I remember Habitat for Humanity. The good news that's in front of it came about how and when?
2014, and I'm sort of kind of guessing here. Initially, this affiliate got started in 1990. And it was Habitat for Humanity of Greater Richmond. All right, over the years, we've inherited other counties, so I think that's where the name change came from, was to Good News Habitat for Humanity. We cover Wayne, Union, Fayette, and Randolph counties. And our neighbors to the west, over in Newcastle, they also cover 2 counties, and their name is Raintree Habitat for Humanity. So that, you know, it's going to be different wherever you're looking.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the organization, what your primary role is. Most people go, you build houses. I don't know that it's quite that simple.
Yeah, you're right. The 2 big halves are finding a family and working with a family so that they can purchase this home that we're building, okay? Mm-hmm. And they also participate in the building of that home. So the way it works, and a lot of people locally think we give those houses away, but we don't, okay? We actually serve as the bank, and we hold the mortgage, and what they get, they have to put in between $300 and $350 hours of sweat equity hours is how they buy into it. They have to participate in building a family budget. They might have to clean up their credit a little bit. How to take care of your home. These are classes that we do.
Sure.
Because, you know, something breaks, you can't call 1-800-landlord and have that guy fix it, which some of them do, but they just have to learn how to take care of the home. So when that all happens and the house is ready to move into, we do a closing, just like you and I do if we go buy a house through a bank. The nice part of it is that our mortgages are 0% for 20 years.
Okay.
Okay. The only money they need to bring to the table is closing costs. Okay.
All right.
So that's the big difference between us and, you know, a typical mortgage is there's no interest, no down payment, that sort of thing.
Talk about, if you would, how you find these families, how you match a person with a potential home and work them through this process, because a lot of these people, I think most of them probably, are first-time home buyers.
Correct.
And what first-time home buyers don't know is an incredibly long list, and I say that as somebody who, when I bought my first house, I was going, really? I need this, I gotta do that, the checklist is long.
Correct. So I'm glad you asked that, because as of Monday, we kicked off our open enrollment for 2024, and it's going to go from now till the end of February.
Okay.
So people who, they can go to our Facebook page and our website and find this, and it tells them the minimums that they need. There's a income chart. They have to fall within that. It's easy to figure out, and then there's other things like, you know, they have to have clean credit, they have to be employed, you know, all those sorts of things. That's the minimum. Once they can do everything that's on this flyer, then they will call our office and talk to Amy, set up a one-on-one meeting with her, and then you get the lengthy 14-page application and everything you need to bring to the table. But what people do need to understand is at this point, it's probably going to be anywhere from 10 to 12 months before the house is actually going to be done. And we do two things. We build houses and we rehab houses. Okay? Some people are willing to donate a house to us, and then we give it a complete makeover.
And that's really kind of what you all have been doing
Correct.
lately, correct? I don't think you have had any new builds over the last couple of years at least.
At least. I don't know. I really don't. I've only been involved for 2.5 years with the current habitat, and we've been spending a lot of time rebuilding our board and recruiting volunteers onto the standing committees. But due to COVID, rehabbing a house is much more cost effective than building one.
Sure.
But we're hoping to break ground this April and start one from the bottom up. We're working on a house right now that happens to be right next to our office. So it makes
That's
it easy to work
convenient.
on. Nice little 2-bedroom. So anyway, so we're doing the open enrollment right now. That doesn't mean everybody's going to qualify. That asks us questions. We don't rent anything. I need to make that clear because we get a lot of calls, people thinking that we rent houses. We don't.
Okay. And that's one of the reasons you're here, so we can kind of clear up
Correct.
some of these conversations.
So basically what we do is we give a hand up to a young family or a family that needs a home, wants a home, willing to do the sweat equity and take care of that home. And it's pretty successful. We have we call these the families partner families. We have 28 partner families on our books right now. Excuse me. 6 of them have paid off their mortgages in full in the last 6 months.
Nice.
So now they own it free and clear. We have built or rehabbed 109 houses to date since 1990 when we started.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. Talk about how you all are able to get building materials. Those aren't cheap and they've gotten more expensive since the pandemic, and how you get the land that you're building these homes on.
Land comes 2 ways: donated or 3 ways. You know, it's donated to you. You have to buy it, or sometimes we get involved with the blight program in the city and end up with some lots that way.
Okay.
So we have plenty of property to pick from right now. But building materials and whatnot, the big thing at the moment is we have, there's an organization, Crossroads Ministry out of Kentucky, I believe it is, where we can actually purchase, actually I think they donate it. All the walls are already framed in and sheathed with OSB for like a 3-bedroom home with a garage. So we have 3 of those in our warehouse, and we also have a 4-bedroom home that, so we have those things, which saves a lot of money right there.
Mm-hmm.
The big costs are, you know, like HVAC, roofing, having the roof put on. We have to do the foundation, which pretty much is going to be a cement slab for these homes.
Okay.
And then the trusses and the roofing. Some of those things you just have to contract to do that.
Sure. Want it done right, you want it done professionally, you know you're going to be up to code.
Correct. And we don't want to put volunteers on a roof.
Yeah, I'm sure your insurance company is happy about that.
Right.
To talk about how you decide how big a house can be, are there sizes? Do you all have plans that go, okay, if you need a 1-bedroom, it's this, if you need a 2-bedroom, it's this, or is that decided as you all are talking with the family?
For the most part, everything that gets built is 3-bedroom.
Okay.
At least that's what we have in the warehouse, with the exception of the one that's 4-bedroom. How it's actually laid out depends on the lot. Most of the lots that are available to us in the city are really long and narrow.
Mm-hmm.
So we use what's called a shotgun floor plan, where you'll have the front porch, go into the living, dining, kitchen, the bedrooms, that sort of thing, and then there may or may not be a garage on the back side of it, so that it can be accessed from the alley.
Okay.
And we can tweak floor plans
Mm-hmm.
to make it work.
Okay.
So
Open enrollment's going on right now. Once again, folks can go to your website or your Facebook page,
Correct.
get some basic information, start the sign up, and go through the process.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And Amy's more than willing to work with you.
All right. You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Dan Groth, who is Executive Director. Is that the official title?
Yes.
Of Good News
Yes.
Habitat for Humanity, a multi-county organization that is helping families, first-time homebuyers, get into their facility. You're a not-for-profit organization. Not-for-profit organizations always need money, whether things are being donated to them or not. You all actually have an event coming up. It's your first event, your first fundraising event that you all are doing. Hard hats and high heels?
Correct.
Okay. That's an interesting title. You got to tell me how you came up with that one and what's going to happen.
Well, we borrowed that from other affiliates across the United States, so it's not original to us, but it really fits into, we construct homes and we have to wear hard hats, and then the high heels is because it's, a dinner dance type thing.
Okay.
We are also going to have a lot of silent auction items that people can look at and bid on. And then about midway through the evening, we'll do a live auction, which Roger Richard's going to do for us. So we'll have bigger items there that they can use, or that hopefully they want to use. We're still collecting items for that. There'll be a 50-50, and it's just a good time to meet some other people. We have a DJ, and then when all those items are over, then people can dance for an hour or two before we close it up.
When? How do people get tickets?
Okay, so it's February 10th. It's at the Leland Legacy, and the Corner Cafe is doing all the food, and
Yum.
They're our big sponsor for this event. So we'll be up in the ballroom, which is a really cool place.
Yeah.
It's February 10th from 6 to probably 11-ish. You can go on, I gotta find it here. Tickets are available at Eventbrite if you want to buy them online, or give our office a call, we'll figure it out. If you want to reserve a table of 8, definitely call our office and talk to one of the, either Lily or Amy to make those arrangements. You can utilize, since it's February 10th, you guys out there, you can use this as your Valentine's
Day
thing.
Dinner and a show.
That's right. So it will be a lot of fun, and there's a lot of parking around the Leland, so keep that in mind. It's easy to find a place to park and get right into the building.
Cool.
That was one of the things we were looking for, was easy parking when we were picking a venue.
Okay.
So, yeah, Amanda and crew have really been working with us, and we're super excited.
Talk a little bit about, and you mentioned, the organization has kind of been reforming, changing a little bit, bringing in board members, things of that nature. Talk about how this organization is structured a little bit, and particularly when it comes to, you mentioned not putting volunteers on a roof, but having volunteers, I would imagine, in some of the building process is important.
Okay.
If someone's interested in doing that, what skills do they need? How do you all train?
Okay. So the organization isn't really changing. It was that, COVID put a big dent in it, because you couldn't build a house at 6 feet apart,
Sure.
that sort of thing. So when everything finally cleared through, we had to build up our board and recruit some, get them through board training, that sort of thing. So we got 10 folks that are committed and doing well. We're going to add more. We have 4 standing committees: finance, marketing, partner family, and building committee. Those are the ones that we recruit folks for. If somebody doesn't want to make the commitment to a committee, once these builds start, we will be doing work weekends like 9 to 1 on a Saturday. In the home, so you might be installing insulation or helping put the windows in, or later on painting. When that's all done, working on the outside, planting bushes, stuff like that. And you'll find out about those things through our Facebook page, because we'll have that announced. But once you become a regular, then a mass text will go out and say, we're going to be here this Saturday. Let us know, and we'll put you to work.
You put people to work. How do you know? I mean, you're building a home that someone's going to live in.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know what their skill set is, and can you train people up who want to be volunteers?
Correct. We can. The things would be like, how do you put the insulation in? the things that are going to be done before they get there are like all the plumbing and electrical will already be in there.
You're having all the trades come in and do
correct.
their thing.
So the things then are getting everything insulated, getting the windows in, teach them how to put up drywall, maybe how to run the mud, that sort of thing, how to put down flooring, painting. Those are all simple things that you can teach some folks. Those we've had a lot of people. We put vinyl siding on the new builds, and you got to train people how to do that. So you probably spend a lot of time doing that. Mm-hmm. But then people get excited about learning that, and then they come back and tell you, you know, we learned how to put siding on a house at one of your builds, and now we've done it to our own house and saved a lot of money.
Nice.
So so there's that on the houses, but with the other committees like finance, marketing, and partner family, that's not the nuts and bolts of a house, but that's the nuts and the bolts of what we do to get to the point of a house.
Okay.
And we have people on each of those committees, but there's always room for more.
You honored one of your volunteers from the last, was it the last year?
Yes.
Gary DeLucio?
Yes, Gary is a godsend. He started in about 2014 to 2017-18. He worked when we had the Restore, but then he left for reasons I don't know why, and he came back in late 2022. That's when I met him. Okay. And he is so dedicated. He comes to work every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 3.
Wow. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday?
Correct. Except for maybe when he goes on vacation,
okay,
or the weather's bad. And he'll either work on a build or our warehouse. Everybody sees our warehouse. It's on South E. Our office is over on South F, like a half a block away.
Okay.
And he helped get both places organized. We're still working. That warehouse is huge and full of stuff. So he's getting that all organized. We're almost there. So he basically puts in just under 1,000 hours a year.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, I mean, and the man can fix anything. He throws nothing away, but he's not a hoarder, which is a good thing.
Cool.
So, yeah, and he also spends his Thursdays volunteering for the library, and Monday he spends all day at his mom's house.
There you go. We've got probably about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Want to go back over a couple of things real quick that are important for folks. You all are doing open enrollment. Talk a little bit about that, what people need to know, and how they connect with you all if they are interested in being considered for a home. And do you all have multiple homes that you're trying to build at this point, or do you take them one at a time?
At the moment, it's potentially multiple, because we have the rehab that we're working on. We hope to break ground in April on the other, so 2.
Okay.
This whole process, there's going to be a lot of people come through our front door. Not everybody's going to make it to the other end.
Sure.
They do need to realize that it's going to be probably a year, so it's not going to happen overnight. The open enrollment period is from now to the end of February. And as they go through the process, then they'll develop a one-on-one relationship with Amy, and they'll be asked to do and provide more and more stuff. And then
lots more stuff.
Right. Then the partner family committee will review everybody that actually qualifies, and then pick those that they'll put in the, in the pipeline. So that could be 4, 6, 8 people, but it's only going to be 2 houses.
Okay.
So anyway, they need to do that. They need to realize it's going to take some time. They need to be employed. They need to have good credit.
But that's a great time for people to be able to, if they don't qualify right away, it's a chance for them to at least know what the criteria are and begin to work and clean up some of that they might need.
Correct.
Whether it's cleaning up their credit, whether it's finding a job, whatever the case may be, to be prepared to step in with you all.
Well,
and the fact that you all are doing the financing at 0% for 20 years, it's got to be a saver.
That's correct. And even if they don't make the first cut, they can start volunteering on the weekend bill, so they get used to what they're going to have to do when it's their house.
Okay.
So.
And obviously people more than willing to help, more than willing to learn.
Right.
And then you all have your hard hats and high heels coming up one more time. Give us the date, how people get tickets.
February 10th, 6 to probably 11 at the Leland Legacy, and also food provided by the Corner Cafe. We'll have a DJ, silent auction, live auction, lots of fun. You can purchase tickets on Eventbrite. Just look us up on there or go to our Facebook page and they'll guide you to it as well.
Whether it's Facebook or your website, goodnewshabitat.org. goodnewshabitat.org. Check it out. If you have some time, want to be able to volunteer with this particular organization, if you're looking maybe to be in a home, check them out. Definitely a good organization that's been doing a lot of good in the community, and we appreciate the time.
Well, thank you.
Glad to be here. Glad you were here. Good to see you again.
It was great to be here.
A couple of things to remind you of before we head out of here. One, next week, Richmond Meltdown is going to be taking place. Lots of things going on. The Carvers are going to get in on Sunday. They'll begin to work. We've got great weather for it so far, and we obviously are hoping that weather, the weather we're having right now, will continue into next week. It's been a little rainy and a little bit warmer than some of them would like to have. And the city of Richmond has announced 6 free workshops on historic preservation workshops. Those are Saturdays beginning on January 27th from 9 till 12 at the William G. Scott House Banquet Room. Call 983-7200 if you need some more information on that. Thanks to my guests on this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. As always, I wish you well. Have a great weekend.